and government of Kenya, they may very well decide. If the government of Kenya says, look, we want to investigate a particular matter, please come and help, the AU may very well do that. But that would be a completely separate process. It's not a process that can be conducted by the observers. But I'm saying our principals may very well get involved in a process of investigation as the African Union and set up whatever structure might be required. With regard to the matter of the rejected ballots, I think there are two questions that relate to this. One of them is a matter of voter education. For the IEBC to make sure that the voters are properly educated in terms of what it is that you do in order to vote correctly. I think that's one matter that's important. I think the second matter that's important is a proper discussion with the parties, the political parties, as to, even with all of that voter education, what is acceptable. I'm saying that because, for instance, in the polling station where we were and watched the counting of the presidential votes in particular, the ballots, they rejected, by agreement, the presiding officers and the party agents rejected a number of those ballots. And when they showed them to us, the presiding officers, what you would find, for instance, is that the voter has ticked a particular box. 90% of the tick is in a particular box, and 10% has spilled over to the next box. And in these instances, they then rejected, together, presiding officers and party agents, they rejected that particular ballot. Now, certainly to me, it looked a bit odd, where 80% of the mark is in one box, or 90% of one mark is in one box, and 10% the tick spills over to the next box, and you disqualify that. Because I think that the intention of the voter is quite clear, but that's my view. Intention of the voter is quite, 90% of this mark is in one box. So I'm saying that it's two issues concerned. One, voter education, so that the IEBC educates the population to say, when you tick, make sure that there's no tail of the tick which crosses over to the next box. Once, if it does that, the consequences. And as I'm saying, also the presiding and the political parties to agree with them that what is it that qualifies to disqualify a ballot paper. I am not saying that the reason for this large number of rejected ballots is what I'm saying, but I'm saying what we witnessed in the station where we were, where they disqualified the ballots. It was on the basis I've explained. And it may very well be that this has been the case everywhere. So that it's a reflection, I'm saying it's a reflection partly of insufficient voter education, but also insufficient, a bit of inflexibility with regards to determining this matter. So I think, but in any case, I would imagine that the IEBC, we would want to recommend that the IEBC looks at this matter in our final report, because indeed it's to look at these numbers, 400,000, something like that, rejected ballots, it's notable. And I think they would have to look at the IEBC to see how to address it.
We'll take our last question.
Yeah.
Right.
Mr. President, you did say that the statement that you just issued is a preliminary statement. And then you did say that the final statement of the recommendations will come 2 months from today. Now, in the event that the NASA allegations, in the event that some of the allegations made by NASA are proven to be true, and your report is supposed to come 2 months later, will it bear any meaning the Kenyans? Secondly, in the event that some of these allegations are proven to be true, is there anything the African Union can do?
Well, I don't want to speculate in the event of this happening, in the event of the other thing not happening. I mean, what the African Union would do, and including its observer mission, would depend on the truth. Whatever the truth is, we would then respond in an appropriate manner. Whatever it is. We are hoping that what has happened, what we have observed before the elections, on election day, and since, a great determination of the people of Kenya to hold peaceful elections, to hold credible elections, turned up in huge numbers in order to participate, because it's obvious that the generality of the people of this country, they want to have this right to elect their leaders in conditions of peace and freedom, and in order so that they are able to address their challenges. And we applaud the Kenyan people for that. We applaud what we have seen happening up to now. And indeed, it would be very regrettable if there was anything that emerged afterwards which sought to corrupt that outcome, to spoil that outcome. Because I'm saying it was very clear to us as an observer mission. And I think it's true of all the other observer missions when we met and we discussed, that we are all of us very inspired by the manner in which the Kenyan people responded to to the elections, in the numbers they did, the manner in which the IEBC handled the actual conduct of the elections on voting day, and all of that. The conditions of peace which the Kenyan people made sure we are going to ensure that there is peace in our country as this happens. All of that was admirable. We would clearly not want, we want to join the people of Kenya in saying we would not want that anything negative should happen. We should seek to undermine, destroy that. Because really this is an outcome, this is a process. We're not talking about outcome, the tallying of votes is still taking place. There's a process up to now, as I have said this publicly, which I think the rest of the continent must emulate. Because I think the people of Kenya, including the institutions like the Election Commission and others, have done extremely well in terms of ensuring that indeed Kenya respects its own views, its laws and constitution and so on. With regard to this matter, let us build a peaceful and democratic Kenya so that we can address together these challenges of poverty, of underdevelopment and so on. And I think that Kenya has done a very good job up to now. And hopefully nothing will happen which will negate that. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen of the press. We would be leaving the podium and give the opportunity to the Commonwealth to make their statements. Thank you very much.